Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully, I am live. So I'm just trying to check on my phone. But like I said, normally it's not an issue and we go live pretty easily. Um, yeah, I think we are live. I have a very, very special guest on today. I am so excited. I would like to welcome the wonderful Coach D. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your R&R, because I know you're in somewhere very special, which we'll talk about in a minute. Um, can you tell me a little bit about yourself first, please?
All right, let me turn this around because I think the light from the sun here.
Yeah,
I
the
think
beautiful
this shot's
sunshine.
gonna be better. I thought that was gonna be a better view, but all right, that's better,
That,
isn't it?
that's much
Yes,
better, yes.
that's
Okay,
much
if you
better.
could tell us a little bit about yourself first, please.
Oh wow, what do you want to know?
Everything. Right, start at the beginning. Tell us, everybody, because not everybody knows who you are. Tell everybody who you are.
Okay, so my name is Deborah Taylor. For many years, I worked for the government. I worked for three presidential administrations, last being Barack Obama. I was a specialist in several areas, a lot of in family services. So I traveled all around the country doing that. I was a pastor, co-pastor with my husband, who has since passed away. I have two children. I'm a grandmother and a great grandmother. I lost my job. So I lost my job in 2013. And I decided not to go back to work. I was at that time, I was like 57 years old, and I just decided not to go back. I became a consultant, so I did consulting work for nonprofits and social service agencies. Um, and I wrote grants. I did some teaching and things like that, but virtually was unemployed. And the rest is history. I found myself and then in the midst of that, my husband became very ill, and I had to just stop that. So for 4 years, 3 years, I was taking care of him. Um, and then when I turned 61, I realized, one, you unemployed, two, you don't have an income, three, at that time they were saying he probably wasn't going to make it. And I'm thinking, well, I need to do something. And here we are.
Yeah. So you've been with the company for 7 years, I think. It's a bit longer.
November 4th, I've been with this company 7 years.
7 years. Yes.
Um, I
What
was,
is it about the company that resonates with you?
well, I do have to go back. So when I found out about the company, I said absolutely not. Right? I had been in the travel agent industry. I had partnered with uh, four different travel agent companies, and so when they brought me this opportunity, I was like, no. And I was a leader in all of them, not at the level that I am now. And I said no. And then one day, it was like, fool, you broke, right? I didn't even have the money to join. And
Mm.
I went to my husband and I asked to borrow it um, because I had asked my husband for some money and he gave me $20. Now, remember, I was $150,000 a year earner with 8 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not going to fly.
Not
And
$20
so,
now.
so I called the person that had been trying to get me to come in. I called that person and I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to come in. And my goal was to become what we call, and I guess you'll talk about that, to become a two-star director, making about $1,500 a month because I was 61 and I was going to get my Social Security. My pension, I was too young. We didn't, in the government I was in quasi-governmental, so I didn't actually get a pension. My husband did. I got a 401k, but you couldn't touch your 401k because you're going to be penalized
Right.
and, and taxed to death and all of that. And so I called him and I said, I'm ready. I borrowed the money from my husband and said that if I can get to this 1,500 within a year, I would be 62 and I would get my Social Security. That would be enough for me being married. I was married to my husband all over 40 years. That would be enough. That was a nice allowance, right? He paid
Yeah.
all the bills. And that's what I determined to do.
Yeah.
Um,
When
but
you
right after
joined,
all that happened,
yeah, saying when you
huh?
joined, your husband wasn't keen on the company, but he trusted you. So I remember you saying stuff about he wasn't interested in
He
doing it, but then he
no, he
did.
wasn't interested. No, he said, I don't trust the company. I don't trust this network marketing. I don't trust any of that. But two things I know. One, I trust you, and two, you a money maker. So if you decide to make in your mind that this is what you're gonna do, you are a money maker. And so I came in, and I think within the first month, and it was
Yeah.
nothing like it is now. I remember we had a $12 program, and we got $10 from it. That's how long I go back.
Yeah.
And yeah, the $10. One of my leaders right now came in through the $10 program, and where we got $10, and it was like $2.95. That's long been gone.
Yeah.
And but after about a month, my husband saw how much money I was making. I happened to leave my computer up, and he saw how much money I was making in a month, and he said, "Put me in the business." And I was like, "No." Now, right after I joined, I got the opportunity to meet the CEO right away. He flew into Atlanta, and I live in Memphis. My husband was actually in intensive care at that time. So me and my sister-in-law, she drove with me to Memphis, and my daughter babysitted my husband because I felt like, well, what could I could do? Just sit here and stare at him, right? And so we did that. And when I met David Hart, he never introduced me to the business. He never talked about Travorium to me. What he did is the guy that brought me in told him, usually they called him Papa Taylor and called me Mama Taylor. Usually travel together, and then he was sick, and so he came over, he talked to me, he prayed with me, he took me in a corner and prayed with me and told me everything was going to be all right, that the guy was not through with my husband, and he was going to be fine. And he did. He got fine. He got a kidney. Uh, we built this business all the whole time he was going through that. Him and Adela Hart became very, very good friends because she had went through something similar. And David starting and building this company. And when me and my husband was arguing about him joining, because at that time he was in dialysis.
Right.
And I'm like, I know you're not going to do nothing. You don't even know nothing about this business. And he was like, just put me in. I was like, ugh. And then David called, and David said, put him in. I said, put him in. He said, yeah, if he wants to be a part of the business, put him in. And I believe that this business, besides my grandchildren, my great-granddaughter and my granddaughter being born around that time, I think that this business gave him an extra 4 years on his life.
You did a lot of traveling together over those
We
years.
did 23 vacations in 1 year.
Yeah. It's like, that's amazing. And that's what life is about, I think. Traveling with your
All
loved
while,
ones.
all while he was on dialysis,
Yeah.
I started doing in-home dialysis. So I would take the machine with me. We flew to Vegas a lot because at that time, Travorium met in Vegas a lot.
Yeah.
But I took them everywhere with me, where
And
we
those are
didn't
memories
drive.
you're going to treasure forever.
Yes, yes, yes. That is. So It has been a journey, but it has been a good journey, and it has not been without a price and a cost. But I think anything worth having, you have to go through the struggle. If I hadn't, I never would have never met you. Us
Yeah.
both being widows. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've come a long way from when I first met you.
Thank you.
You have.
I've watched you and Pastor Guy do the lives together, and then when he died, I think everybody in the team was heartfelt. But for me, it was like when I was watching you, it was like if my husband was alive, that's how I would hope we would have been. So it was something special watching the two of you. It used to make me feel so, I don't know, the banter you two had was very similar to the way me and my husband were. And it just made me feel so happy to see you both on screen together. He would take over. You'd be doing the presentation and he'd be like, yeah, right, it's my turn. From somebody who didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he in the end, he started taking over the calls. And he just, for somebody who did not want to learn the business, but he learned enough that he wanted to get to that pivotal position. And him and David always talked about him getting to 2-star director.
Yeah, I want to focus on that a little bit for now. After he died, what did that actually mean, him being a 2-star director?
Well, as David was building the company, he had a set of twins who are now teenagers. I can't believe it, right?
Yeah.
And they would have these conversations, and sometimes me, him, and Adela would sit down and talk, and we would have these conversations, and they would talk about legacy and leaving what legacy wealth. At that time, his son Josh had a couple of babies as well. They're big boys now too. And so they were talking about leaving generational legacy wealth for their children's children. And David would talk about the plan for the company and all of that. And so at 2-star director, this business becomes willable and transferable. My husband was the first one in the company to pass away. My husband was the first one to be the recipient of that benefit. And so I became the recipient of his book of business. What I did is I made a decision it was kind of strange because I realized his business was growing.
Yeah.
And right almost the anniversary of his death 1 year, he went to 4-star director. Yeah. 4-star director makes about $4,000 a month. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Because a lot of times I wouldn't even look at his back office. And I called David. I said, do you know that he said, yes. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? By this time I was an ambassador.
Yeah.
And we had some conversations. I made some decisions. I decided that I wanted the money from their conversations, that I wanted that the business was willable, transferable, but it also should be a legacy business. And so what I did is I looked at them 2 little girls and I created a revocable family trust. My account and his account is in that trust, as well as it was legally done. Changed off his social security numbers, some things you got to do. And, I said, one day I'm going to teach about that, because people think, oh, automatically you get the 2-star director. And, if something happens, but there's things you have to do, and you really have to keep up with that book of business.
Yeah.
So it's like me running 2 businesses, but I opened up bank accounts for my granddaughters. Grace, she is now 7, and Ava will be 6 on Saturday.
Oh, bless. Happy birthday.
She'll be 6 on Saturday. So they have their own bank accounts. And then we have what we call the Guy Taylor Memorial Fund. And through that fund, we do sow money into different things. So he was very big in doing things for ministries, missions, very, my daughter has systemic lupus. So we sew into Lupus Foundation. My husband had kidney issues. So we sew into Kidney Foundation. I had melanary thyroid cancer. After his death, I had cancer. We sew into the Cancer Foundation. So we do a number of different things, but we've also elevated his grandchildren's cost living. So they both go to private school. Ava just entered private school a few weeks ago. So she goes
Wow.
to a very astute private school.
Amazing.
We also, my granddaughter, the oldest one, she's just turned 30, who's a part of the business, but we elevated her living. So both of my children now have homes. We got them homes.
Yeah.
But my granddaughter didn't want a home at the time. She wanted to live downtown. She's young and she wanted to live in an industrial apartment, which costs crazy money, but that's where she lives. And it's all because of Trevorium. It's all because of the elevation in income that my husband actually left and provided to his family. We
Yeah.
also take, what else do we do with that? We also do what we call paw trips. So we've done Columbia together. We've done Phoenix together. We usually do 2, 3, sometimes 2-week vacations.
Yeah.
We did Disney World together in May. And we call them paw trips. That means it came out of paw money.
Oh.
We did Grace wanted to go back and she wanted to do what she called a grandma and granddaughter trip. So we did Fort Lauderdale in July.
Yeah, that was, I was going to say, I remember that being recent.
Yeah.
And
in
your
July.
great granddaughter being, hang on, I've been left behind.
She's not happy. So I owe her a trip. So she'll end up going with us to Mexico. We're going to Mexico in December.
Nice.
Because the ambassador trip is in Mexico. And so I've told them I'm staying. I'm not coming home. And so they're going to all come over to Mexico. So Ava get her trip to Mexico.
Yeah. What has been your most favorite trip so far? Can you name one?
I don't know. I mean, I think Dubai was one of my favorites. I mean, I could go to Dubai and just stay. I stayed there 2 weeks when I went. A company paid for the first week. And my lifestyle car paid for the second. And so I think Dubai is one that I would do over this one that I'm on now to Barbados.
Yeah.
It's beautiful
scenery that you've been
It's
showing.
very, very relaxing, very nice resort. I could do this. I could make this an annual trip. But it's so many that I've done.
Yeah.
I have to go back to Paris because didn't really like Paris, but I think it's because of all the construction. And now I realized they were getting ready for the Olympics when we were there. So I want to see it now that it's not all tore up.
Yeah.
But I think out of all of them, probably Dubai.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be New Orleans. Meeting you was such an emotional moment for me. It was so beautiful. It was so nice to be included in you, because nearly everybody there was part of your team. I'm not on your team, but I was included in everything. I was made to feel loved and welcomed. It was just so wonderful. And meeting you was just, oh my God, it's Coach D.
But the interesting thing is, although you're not directly a part of my team, you're indirectly a part of the team because we're on the same team. You know, our 3-star ambassadors are Daryl and Maria. Yes. And so we're indirectly connected. And that's what's important to me. You know, Cynthia had a few people there. She's a totally different stream of business. But I just believe that when we came in, there wasn't many of us. So we all knew each other. right? I remember you getting up in the middle of the night to be on
2
Zoom,
a.m. Yeah.
to be on the Zoom because we didn't really have anyone to be on the Zoom, especially when we created the fireside chat.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that. Um, so I just think that as long as we understand, oh, I didn't share this, but as long as we understand the parameters of our relationship, it's just like
Yeah.
me and Cynthia. We're on totally different teams, but we do things together because we understand that, and we teach our team that, to
Yeah.
respect that. But I mean, we helpers one to another, right?
Yeah.
And because it was a corporate training, it's open to anybody. Now it should be open. It's open to our team, but there are people who went to Cynthia's training. There's people that go to Igor and Larissa's training,
Yeah.
right? I remember when the company didn't have training, and I did my own training, and everybody came to that.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I'm glad
Yeah.
that you came. And everybody was excited because I mean, we've been looking at you for 7 years. How long you been in the company?
2019, I joined.
Yeah.
So,
So
but that was just sort of pre-launch, and then when it went into England properly, I was like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever heard of," because I like to travel. I wasn't interested in the business. I just wanted to travel.
that was
But
me.
then
I wanted
watching
to.
you, yeah, but you inspire me.
I
Watching
wanted
you
to
has made me
travel
think
cheap.
more.
I'm
This
like,
is,
I want to travel cheap. And at that time, we didn't have nothing like we have now.
yeah.
Um,
Even just the
I
world tours. We started off with I trips, and then it was you trips, and now it's just wow. From one a trip
yeah,
a year to hundreds.
to
Like,
hundreds. Yeah,
yeah,
isn't that something?
it's amazing. But like I said, you personally, you have inspired me so much that I was just grateful to meet you. It was really, really lovely to actually come and see you.
So,
And it was just, yeah,
so
I just had a great
in
time.
the UK, in the UK,
Yeah.
um, the team that you're a part of, is everybody still there, or what are they doing? Because I used to hear from that team all the time, but I don't hear anything anymore too much.
We've still got Paula. Paula's uh, my team leader. So we're part of Team Dragonflies.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I there aren't. It's quite quiet still. So we need to be more moving and get our booty going.
Get your booty going.
Yeah,
You said get your booty going. But yeah,
absolutely.
that, yeah, it's time to get your booty going. And I think that you could be a great leader.
Thank
I
you.
know Paula has done a lot, but to just push yourself to become who God wants you to become, who Allah wants you to become.
Thank
And,
you.
take all that. I mean, you've been around the best. And so it isn't that you don't have I mean, a lot of things have changed since then, since 2019.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's an opportunity to, I mean, you can literally take over the UK. I think you should take over the UK. That's what I think you should do.
Yay! I'd
I
love
do.
to. It'd be brilliant. I
I
mean,
do.
tonight we're doing a team training, and I'm going to go over things that you taught us
Okay.
on the world tour. So yes,
Okay.
love you,
Yes,
Coach D.
it's time for the UK to move. I mean, it really
Absolutely.
is. It's time for the UK to move, and I believe that you and Paula can drive that if she's on here. But I really do think that you guys have been around long enough that it's time, to drive that, and
Yeah.
whatever that's going to take, to do
Again, with
that.
you,
But
it's what you say: stick and stay.
stick and stay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add to that. We gonna need to stick and stay and move. Some people
Absolutely.
have stuck. Some people have stuck and stayed, but they not moving.
Yeah.
They're stagnated. I kind of talked about that in my talk on yesterday. But they're stagnated, and stagnation ain't nothing like stanky water. It stink.
Absolutely.
Right? So, sometimes you got to pour the water out, pour some new water in. So it's time for you guys to get new water.
Absolutely.
We have to do that every once in a while. So it's time for you to move. You got a beautiful scene behind you.
That's Dubai, actually.
Okay.
That's one of my pictures I took when I was in Dubai in 2021.
What was your favorite trip out of all? You've taken quite a bit.
Well, my favorite, like I said, has to be New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. Okay.
Yeah. It's really? I've been on other world tours where I've met a few of the gang and we've hung out a little bit, but this time it was like a unity. It was all Team Legacy and it was just unified. So much. It was just, it was just amazing.
We love loving on people. I mean, I have a great team. A lot of times people say it started with the head. It started with me, but we love people. We embrace people in our team. We may not grow as fast as some of the other teams. I'm very proud to say that we're well over 2,000 in our downline now. Yeah. But and that's a long way from one person. But what I try to teach our team is to caring, loving, being committed, being consistent. All of those things are going to create a solid foundation. It can't always be about numbers and numbers. Yeah. This thing is so beyond, for me, it's so beyond money. Yeah. I'll be 70 years old soon. So it's so beyond money for me, because Trevorium pays me very well. My husband left me very well, so I'm okay, financially. But there are a lot of people that are not. Yeah. And my goal is to create manifested wealth and help people to understand the greater wealth portion that's in them, and through the lifestyle of Trevorium. And if we can do that, because Trevorium is definitely more than travel. There are so many things that it brings up your quality of life, and it changes your quality of life. And we used to talk about that too back in the day. What would it take for a person? I have senior citizens on my team, as you well know. Yeah. We took pictures.
This person was 84, I believe, that was at New Orleans. I believe that she was 84.
She was 84, and she's going to be a 2-star. At $1,500 to $2,500 is going to mean a lot to her to go with her Social Security. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but when you see people in that group, it was a group of people that was 70 years old. It's about 10 or 11 of them that were there at the conference. And most of them, I think one was new, but most of them are making money anywhere from $300 to $1,500 a month. That in itself is a fleet, because my whole thing is when you're going up, you got to pull people up with you. Yeah. Absolutely. Ain't no sense of you bragging about you $100,000 earner and everybody on your team still broke. And that was the problem that I had with network marketing. That was the problem that I had. The problem that I had is that I saw, and that's why my husband didn't like it. The problem that he saw was the same leaders were crossing the stage all the time. There were no new leaders, right? There's always the same people being recognized, the same people. But in this company, within a year, by the time we get from training to training or conference to conference, now that we're going to be having them a couple of times a year, you're going to see new people being manifested all the time. And that in itself is a feat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to see that.
Yes. I found the training inspiration as well, because you had 20-year-olds. So there was 2 young boys with their mum, a 20 and a 26-year-old. So you had the range from 20 to 80. That's a huge range of people.
We have a 2-star 2-star director that's 20.
Wow.
Under Dr. Renee Smith, he's a 2-star director. Caleb.
That's amazing. And only 20.
And he's 20.
Yeah. So to me, that's quite a big thing, because obviously I've got 4 children, and trying to explain to them how important this is, they don't get it. Certainly my oldest daughter's like, yeah, I get it. But she doesn't do anything. But
Well,
the other thing was,
eventually, I think the more that you do, see, my kids didn't get it either.
yeah,
My children didn't get it until really after their father passed. And I remember when my son finally got it. My daughter got it quicker, but
yeah,
she was the one that really didn't want me to come into the business. She said it was a scheme, it was a scam, it was this, it was that. You need to get somewhere and sit down, right? But when I got my first brand new car that Trevorium got me, it was a 2018.5 Nissan Rogue Trevorium Blue. My daughter's mind changed. Then when my husband got his 2020 Telluride, when he became a 2-star, and he took his $750 bonus and bought that car, she said, I know you a money getter, but Dad, and that, right? So they sometimes, your children, your family, they're harder. They got to see you do something.
yeah,
Right? They got to see you moving with it. They got to see you. And so now I remember my son, when I had my conference last year, he was there, and he was telling David Hart that I just didn't believe this. He said, but my daughter is a benefactor of what my father did through this
amazing.
company. And it made me a believer, because his daughter is the one that's reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
She has a whole checking account that is loaded with money. So now
I think your granddaughter, your granddaughter and your great granddaughter know more than your children do. They understand it more. They get it more. They're doing their videos, lives.
They do lives. They love to do lives.
They're so cute.
My granddaughter calls. We went on a world tour to Fort Lauderdale, and she was like, "Are these my Trevorium aunts and uncles and my cousins?"
Yeah, the Davis family cousins.
And her cousins, and because she's been doing this ever since she could talk. I would put her on the Zooms with us. I remember the first time we went to Disney World. I think she was turning 3. And she walked in the room, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful!" And she had her little pink gloves and her little crown, and I put her on Facebook Live, and my children were like, "Don't be pimping our kid," But shoot, they don't say that no more, because she getting paid real good, right? And so now she runs around, and she's 7, and all while she was at Fort Lauderdale, she said, "I'm rich, ain't I, Grandma? I'm a rich girl." I said, "Yes, you are. You are a rich girl." And she would just tell, "I'm a rich girl," right? But she'll never know poverty. She'll never know no poverty because of this company.
Yeah, and that's what you want for your children and your grandchildren, for them not to do the struggles that you've gone through. Mm-hmm. So that is what it's all about.
So I say, if your children don't catch it, get hold of one of them grandchildren. Make them become like my oldest granddaughter. She was the one who set up my social media, things like that. And then Grace, now she's 7. When I took her to Fort Lauderdale and she was doing those little videos she was doing, she did that on her own. She just walked in the room, hit her iPad, and started recording. Like, this is the ocean. I was like, what in the world? And she said, "This is Gracie's corner." And she's 7. I was like, how do you do that? And so she showed me how to do some stuff on TikTok I didn't know how to do. She showed me, at 7 years old. So now I think I'm going to hire her as a social media person.
Perfect. She'll have to go with you on all your holidays, though.
She wants to go with me on all my holidays. She's already talked to her dad. She thinks she shouldn't have to go to school.
Unfortunately, it's the legal thing. You have to go. Or you can teach her from home or on holiday.
So maybe if I create a whole school program for her. But she thinks she should go. And so she went home and told her parents that I will be traveling with grandmother from now on.
Bless her.
So
Again, I'd
she,
just like to say thank you so much for giving
yes,
up your time. I know you're in Barbados at the moment, supposed to be resting and relaxing,
I
and
am
I've taken
resting
up
and relaxing. I actually have a meeting today with a young woman who just joined
with
from
Edis.
Barbados yesterday.
Yeah,
Uh,
she joined with Edis.
she started joining with Edis, and so
Yeah,
she's bringing someone to meet, a couple of people to meet in my suite. So I'm going to
amazing.
meet with them. Don't tell Jennifer because I'm not supposed to be
Yeah, you're not
working.
supposed to be working. Yeah, I met Edis in Malaga, and then on the
Okay.
day we were leaving in New Orleans, Doc Finley actually goes to me, "Oh, Edis talks about you all the time," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was quite surprised, and it was so nice. And I
Yeah.
messaged Edis saying, "Oh, Doc just said that you talk about me all the." She goes, "Yes, because you made me feel so welcome," and she was happy to see that how you guys all made me feel welcome in New Orleans, because Edis was on her own when she came to Malaga. I was on my own when I came to New Orleans. And it's got nothing to do with teams or anything. It's, oh, you're Trevorium, your family. That's it. Your
Yeah.
family.
And you get to know each other.
Yeah.
You get to know each other. And so, I mean, as far as they was concerned, you was a part of the family.
Yeah.
Nobody wouldn't have known the difference if it hadn't have been mentioned. You know what I'm saying? It's like you've
Yeah.
been around for so long, and so it is what it is.
Yeah.
It
Anyway,
is
thank you
what
again. I love you. And I
I
will
love.
hopefully see you on another world tour soon.
Maybe I really want to come to the UK. I've never been to the UK.
Yeah, it's a
What's
bit
the
cold and
closest?
grey,
What's,
but come.
what's the closest to the UK? Is it London? What? I don't even know what makes up the UK. What makes up the UK?
London is our capital city.
So London is the capital,
Yeah.
and
The
then what
next
other
biggest
little
city
city?
might be Birmingham or Manchester. I'm not sure which. And I live close to Birmingham. Manchester is
You live
where Paula lives.
in
But
Birmingham.
yeah,
Okay.
well, no, she lives in Manchester. My two daughters live in Birmingham. But yeah, London is the capital city, and that's where most people go. Where I used to live in Bath is where all the tourists love to go. So it's got
What
the
is
Roman baths. It's
Bath?
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And Stonehenge isn't very far. So Bath is definitely somewhere I would recommend people to go and visit. Very touristy.
Well, we have to plan a trip to Bath. And you can
Yes,
plan it, and maybe we can convince
absolutely.
David to get us a world tour in Bath.
That would be really lovely.
Have you ever thought about going to Bath? See if Iris can make that happen.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That one
Right.
in London, we already do Paris, so we could do London and Bath. That would
Yeah.
be good. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much again. I will take no more of your time. Mwah. Love you. Thank
Love
you.
you too.
Bye.
Bye bye. God bless. Bye bye.
Wow. 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 That was so amazing. Coach D was absolutely wonderful in New Orleans. I mean, the whole team, Team Legacy, was fantastic. I had such a good time. I will love you and leave you and talk to you soon. Mwah. Bye.